Girl Shonna podcast, season 1, episode 2, where we'll be talking about believing in miracles. All right, and if you are just now tuning in, the mission of Girl Shonna podcast is to offer holistic advice and self-development tools and much more, okay? All right, guys, so today we'll be talking about believing in miracles during adversity and trials and tribulations, okay? So I felt like today would be an important topic for people struggling to have positive thoughts and struggling to have positive outlooks on life. And everybody's going through so much, and so many things are going on in the world, and it can become easy not to believe in miracles. So today's podcast is to reignite that joy, to help reignite that joy if I can. And those of you who are listening, thank you. And today we're going to be covering a couple of examples and resolutions on how to reach for higher perceptions and higher guidance. All right. So I gave myself this example to share in the show to get started is in when someone does something that can harm you in any way, it is always best to forgive and to believe that the situation somehow worked out for the best for all of those involved, even if it seems hurtful. All right, so my name is Shonna Boykins, host of the Girl Shonna podcast, where healing advice plus more is shared. Guys, thank you so much for joining again. So today we'll be journeying through believing in miracles and why it is best to do so at any given time, but especially through tough situations. We will also be journeying through how to cultivate more loving connections with ourselves and with our loved ones when navigating these not so pleasant times and standards of communication as well. And also how to get through these times without harming ourselves or harming our minds in the process, all right? So the 3 points that we'll be covering is 1, why negative energy does not transmute negative energy into positive, and 2, how we always receive the very same energy that we put out into the world, and higher perception approaches to negative markings like forgiveness and more. Okay, guys? All right, so please feel free to grab a pen and a piece of paper if you desire to take notes. I would recommend taking it because you can always revisit your notes and the key points that I've given here in the show whenever you get ready. And I think that's something that's very handy. And I'll wait. Take your time. Alrighty, so let's dive in. This episode is called Believing in Miracles for a reason. Because when something happens in opposition to the goodwill we have planned for ourselves in our lives, it can begin to make us doubt the good within and around us, and it can make us doubt better in others. Especially when someone we love acts in a way that can be harmful to our well-being. We may have the urge to want to feed them or the situation back with negativity, or we could even want to hold grudges or become accustomed to the negative opinions in regards to these scenarios or the other party involved. But where there seems to be a problem is always a solution, okay? For example, someone we care for greatly acts out of character, leaving us to lean into curiosity, right? I would meet this scene with the best understanding possible. Forgiveness will always be priority in my mind and in my heart, and if needed, a lot of times forgiveness is needed because the perception that we take on, even when people don't intend to harm us, forgiveness is needed for the foul that we perceive, if that makes sense, okay? I hope it does. All right. So, in the previous questions, the previous speakings, we examined the 3 reasons why forgiveness and higher understanding is best in the first place. So now we will dive in a bit deeper into why each statement is important, okay? Here is why. We shouldn't meet negative scenarios with more negativity, but a greater understanding, if possible. For starters, we will probably just end up hurting ourselves more by meeting negativity with negativity. You know how they say, meeting fire or fighting fire with fire doesn't kill the fire, it doesn't calm the fire. And that's kind of the same scenario with negativity. So when we feel obligated to serve someone else justice or justified behavior, we need to be sure that we are not creating more negative events to transpire for ourselves, because what we give the world, no matter who it is to, it will return back to us in the same form. It may not come from the same source, but energy is not created or destroyed, therefore it is transferred. And it can be transmuted, which is why when we are met with negative energy, it's best to transmute it with positive energy. Okay? And when I say what we give the world will return back to us, this does stand true, because an example that I can think of that has happened in my life when I didn't heal a connection with somebody, or the connection didn't resolve in a positive manner, and it was so unhealthy for either of us, I was met with a different source in the same lesson arrived in my life. So I knew that the energy was returning to me. So I decided to deal with it in a way where I could leave the scenario with the lesson and not the negativity that was given to me in that moment from that source of energy, okay? So we have to make sure that we properly dissolve these negotiations that we share with other people and other places as well. Hate can be formed to places. It can be formed to scenarios in our life. It doesn't even have to be a person. It can be a scenario. But because it all comes with a lesson, the lesson should result in evolving, not reaching for a lower state of nature, which lowers our vibration and our frequency. And we should always be focused on our intentions and not the other party, to be sure that we are not energetically overwhelmed or displaced, guys. And in focusing in on our intentions, we should always be doing what is most healthiest for us. And this begins with shifting our perception to a higher one that will allow us to see good in us and in them and into the situation at whole, okay? Why do I say this? Because this could also look like transmuting the lower energies with unconditional love and forgiveness. And if we are not doing these actions for the right reason, then we won't step into them fully with a whole heart, therefore giving them our best effort. Alrighty? Also remember, guys, when we get angry or upset and we experience a major outburst, it is indeed an act that could steal our power In this act, these attachments could intrude on our stillness and our groundedness and our stability with oneness and our intentions to be beautiful and to do goodwill. So why would we want to keep doing this to ourselves, guys? Always remember, you will always receive what you put out. So always do your best. Never take someone's actions personal. Never take someone's actions so personal that you stop treating yourself with love and kindness. It's like joining forces with an abusive nature to help harm yourself. And don't stop giving love and kindness to others around you as well. And no matter how others act towards you, always be mindful that you are most likely being tested by the universe for growth, and that the energy you put out will always come back home to you. And that if you don't resolve these energies with one test, another test of the same energies will always arrive until you properly pass the test, like we mentioned before, okay? This is where forgiveness and higher perception plays its best role in the scenario, and believing that your miracle will shift this energy as well, guys. Because your forgiveness will free you, and it will also free up space in your heart for better love as well. Also, as you shift your perception to see better, you will raise your own frequency to a more loving frequency, attracting more love to you, okay? Allowing more love connections to be cultivated in your life is the best thing that you can do for yourself and those around you. And in shifting into higher perceptions and understandings, this allows forgiveness to stay a priority key tool in your doings that will help you to avoid long-term health concerns from harboring hate, enviousness, jealousy, or anything of those lower vibrational frequencies, okay? And most importantly, guys, doing all of these things will allow you to have more clarity and less chaos from your space, inside and out, leading you to align with more clarity as well. This clarity will help you to see the divine plan for your life better. That way you can now move forward from certain situations with the lesson of it all and not the baggage. Okay? You will also gain better growth in your connections and how you see them and how they play a role in your evolution. You'll be able to identify them from a healed eye and not from a wounded mindset. And that in itself is the best divine justice, while you still get to focus on improving yourself in your life. Okay? Alrighty.